call the member for Hughes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On the adjournment debate. Deputy Speaker, we often hear that there is a energy transition that's been going on across Australia over the last couple of years. And that is true. But that transition has been one from a low-cost environment where Australians have enjoyed some of the lowest cost electricity in the world that has given our nation an enormous competitive advantage, and we've transitioned that to having one of the highest electricity costs in the world, putting our nation at a significant competitive disadvantage. Now, Deputy Speaker, in a war, the first thing you do when you attack your enemy is you take out their baseload electricity generating power stations. That is what has happened throughout history, from World War II to the recent Gulf War. And yet, this is exactly what we have been doing to ourselves, our own nation, taking out one coal-fired power station after the other, with the last one, of course, being Hazelwood to close down. And we've seen the effect of that in today's papers. So the closure of Hazelwood Power Station in Victoria, analysts are forecasting a 10 to 20% increase in household bills. 10 to 20% increase in everyone's electricity bill on top of what we were paying already. And the Greens were actually cheering about this. And what that does, it's not only the cost, it's further unreliability, Deputy Speaker. We've heard that the closure of Hazelwood, that next summer there will be a 75% chance of blackouts in New South Wales, South Australia and Victoria. And of course the overall cost is absolutely staggering to our nation. Our nation's total electricity bill at the moment is around $50 billion. If we were able to match the electricity prices that they have in the United States, Deputy Speaker, and where we were just several years ago, that would be a $25 billion saving to this nation annually. That's $100 billion over 4 years extra that this nation is paying in electricity. And that hurts, Deputy Speaker. It hurts the poorest and less well off in this nation. We know we have record numbers of Australians that have had their electricity disconnected, that live in houses. Thousands of Australians now are living in homes without any electricity because they couldn't afford their bills. And we'll know this coming winter that there'll be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Australians that will be sitting in cold homes, unable to afford to turn their heaters on. And the effects on their health, Deputy Speaker, will be significant. Now, Deputy Speaker, but the real cost is the loss of our international competitiveness. If we're going to create wealth in this, Deputy Speaker, it's quite simple. We need human ingenuity and we need low-cost electricity. You combine those two things together and that is what creates the wealth of this nation. That is what creates the wealth to pay for our pensions, our aged care, our kids with disabilities, our schools, our childcare facilities. Everything that we hear members from both sides of the parliament like to spend more on, Deputy Speaker. But we've got to create that wealth. And we cannot do that. We cannot create this wealth in this nation if we're going to have some of the highest electricity prices in the world. So I call on members of the Labor Party, please put aside your ideological zealotry on this issue. Think about the welfare of your fellow Australians first. Think about the importance of having a competitive nation. And I call on you to abandon the 50% renewable energy target that you're pursuing. If you have any questions about what happens under a 50% renewable energy target, just look at the unmitigated disaster in South Australia. Some of the highest electricity prices in the nation, jobs being lost, Deputy Speaker, chaos and unmitigated hardship and suffering in that state because of their ideological pursuit. So we have a choice in this nation. If we want that 50% renewable energy target, we know where it heads us, down the road of South Australia. Graham Richardson has said to pursue it is an open display of arrogance and stupidity. I call on the Labor members, please abandon your 50% renewable energy target.
I thank the honourable member for Hughes.